Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us today to discuss an important and viable solution to challenges we all face with housing shortages in our communities, especially for the low to moderate income buyers who are bidding for homes in a very competitive seller's market. I'm Jacki Young, Chief Homeownership Officer at NIFA. I have the pleasure today to moderate a factory-built housing discussion with John Wright at Fannie Mae and Dave Busche at Skyline Champion Homes. First, I'd like to share some housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded. All attendees are muted during the presentations. You can raise your hand and a NIFA staff member will unmute you, or you can use the question box. We're going to hold off on addressing any questions until the end of all presentations. This will give us enough time to share all of the information. Thanks to Joe Spitzen, Susan Pullis, Elizabeth Fimbres, and Stacy Fatinos for their help with coordinating this event and assistance with questions. Okay, John Wright is going to kick off our discussion. He is in the Community Lending Department at Fannie Mae and has over 25 years of mortgage industry experience, starting as a loan processor in 1993. John joined Fannie Mae in 2011, and his current role on the Community Lending Team is to increase awareness and usage of affordable lending products and strategies. This is the third time that John has shared his knowledge about factory-built housing, going back to NIFA's annual conference in 2019. Thanks for being here with us today, John, and I'll turn it over to you.
I appreciate that, Jacki. Yeah, I actually remember that first time. It's when I realized you had the Cabela's across the parking lot of where the event was held. So that was a good day. I appreciate you guys taking some time out this morning and talking about some of the affordable products, and specifically for us, the manufactured housing. And I know that if some of you have been in the business for a while, you haven't heard Fannie Mae discuss manufactured housing a lot. It hasn't been really front and center until the last, several years. And one of the things I want to be clear about is that as I talk through some of the details, there may be still questions that you have. We've got a lot of resources for you. I'm going to try to point you to those so that we don't get too bogged down into the weeds and we can move this along. But the sentiment that I hope that I leave you with is that based on the inventory and the affordability crisis, I guess you want to call it crisis in the U.S., and it doesn't matter where you are. You can be in Nebraska, you can be in Texas, you can be in Washington. That destabilization of value, meaning that it's continuing to go up for that entry level or maybe second time buyer, we believe manufactured housing is going to help be one of those housing types that fills the gap. And a lot of the paradigms and the idea that people have about manufactured housing hopefully get dispelled. My good friend Dave on the phone was going to talk a little bit about that. But the characteristics, the quality of construction, etc., are to the point that manufactured housing is extremely important to us from a housing perspective and a loan perspective. So I want to make sure that I'm clear with that. This isn't one of those that we want just a little bit. We need to grow this segment of the business. Now, this is Fannie Mae's, disclaimer. Everything we talk about, if you got any questions, you're not sure about if I'm right, use that selling and servicing guides as your go-to. That's always going to be the end-all be-all, even though this training deck has been vetted. So I'm going to leave a lot of this to Dave, but basically when you think about manufactured housing stock and the average cost of these homes, there's a pretty good margin between manufactured housing and site built, and that continues to expand. So this just reinforces, like I was saying, where the demand is going up. You have a huge percentage of home buyers out there that want to own a home, but they don't believe that they can. There's a lot of education that needs to happen with homeowners, just in how much down payment they need, what the differences are between manufactured housing and maybe site built, and what those price points are. The challenge that we see right now from a site built to manufactured housing is that the entry level homes are just not being built And if they are, they're not being built in quantity to keep up with the demand. Depending on which economist you talk to, we're somewhere between 2.5 and 3 million units from being kind of at what they would consider to be a healthy, normal housing stock. So 2.5, 3 million individual units says we've got to do something. So that's what this slide's about. Manufactured housing is also part of our duty to serve. The organization has in our charter the mission, I guess, if you will, to increase that purchase volume of conventional manufactured home loans. That is a specific call out within our plan. It's to also increase the liquidity related to manufactured housing titled as real property. So the reason I say titled as real property is that all of our homes for manufactured housing, all of our loans, for manufactured housing need to be titled as real property. We don't do chattel. We don't do the leasehold stuff. It's got to be titled as real property. And to make sure that our existing suite of products fits the bill of where lending is today. Do the products that we offer help our lenders and help organizations like NIFA reach more borrowers that also fits within our governance that we have for the organization? So just real quick, standard manufactured homes, I won't get in the weeds, but essentially these are HUD-coated homes that we're talking about, right? They're built on a permanent chassis that they come in on. They're trailered and they're brought to the property, to the lot or the land that they're going to be, where they're going to stay. For us, axles, wheels, tongue, hitches, all of that needs to be removed. And then the property is detitled and converted from a personal property. Some states, I'm not sure about Nebraska, but some it's a process through the DMV where that property now becomes real property. It can't be moved again, and it's titled as such, which matches up with us. We have just recently rolled out a single wide product. Not going to talk about that a whole lot today, but that is to say that we are looking to expand manufactured housing across the board, whether it's manufactured housing used as accessory dwelling units to manufactured housing with our MH Advantage product that I'll talk about in a little bit, and everything in between. So MH Advantage. MH Advantage was not, we created this product not in a vacuum. We worked very closely with the manufactured housing industry, a lot of the manufacturers and some of the third-party vendors and industry experts to say, how do we start to change the paradigm that people have of manufactured homes? How do we get average consumers looking at these homes and saying, yeah, now that's what I'm going to talk about from a primary residence? And when I get into some of these pictures, you see one here on the screen, one of the cool things about this particular product type is that early on we did a lot of focus groups and surveys, and almost every time when we asked just average people who said they were going to buy within the next year, the ages were like 25 to 50. I mean, it was a very broad swath of potential buyers. We looked at it and said, what do you think about manufactured housing? Typically, they would come back with, I wouldn't live in a mobile home. I don't want to live in a trailer. One person, I think, said that manufactured housing, or when she saw the difference between MH Advantage and maybe some of the old 1960s, 70s versions, she said that's a real house for real people. So what we did is we created some additional characteristics. Many of these homes have been built with these characteristics anyway, before MH Advantage came out, but we've consolidated them down to say each of these homes to be eligible needs, this package, if you will, of characteristics. Roof treatment, so basically dormers or eaves. We have a higher pitch on the roof line, as you can see in this one. It's a minimum 412 is our requirement. We have that, what you call lower to grade or lower profile foundations, where it doesn't have the real raised look. Our maximum is 30 inches. We've got carports that are attached, garages, interiors, drywall, solid cabinetry, solid wood cabinetry, etc. So I bring that up to say, if you looked at this home and you're driving down the street with a lot of these in the neighborhood, you would be hard pressed to say, well, that's a manufactured home versus site built. And that was what we were going for, was that curb appeal or the aesthetics, the look and feel of these homes to be closer to site built, but get all the advantages that are presented when these homes are built within that controlled environment. So the home buying process that we found within the manufactured home is that a lot of borrowers will go online, they'll kind of look to discover, okay, what's available. At the end of this presentation, there's a slide where I'm going to showcase some of the outreach that we've done. Manufacturedhomes.com is the most recent, where we've started to get the direct to consumer information on this MH Advantage. So borrowers will go, or potential borrowers will go out, they'll kind of look around, they'll discover what's happening. They might go to one of the dealerships or retail location, and then they get into, okay, what financing options are available. The MH Advantage homes are new construction right now because this is a new product line. So it's kind of the, you go out and you build one at a time. But we are starting to see builder developers come online and say, you know what, we can use those homes in place of site built because of the margin differences that they can recognize, as well as they don't need the heavy crews and needing, 400 or 500 units. They can do 40, they can do 140. So that process of finding out what home I want to go through, want to buy, I want to go get the financing. That's where you come in as the lenders. They go through the build process where you have the site prep, etc. And then the manufacturer ships that home on site and it's installed. The manufacturer roles and responsibilities, one of the key features of this product is that we did not want to put the requirement, like I was talking about, the roof pitch, the whether it's got the combination of dormers and attached garage or whatnot. We didn't want to put that on our lenders. What we've done is we've designated a specific sticker, which you see a picture here. We have the specific sticker that is there to essentially show what that borrower has as far as the eligible home, right? So if that home has the sticker, then that home is eligible for Fannie Mae financing for MH Advantage, right? And I just had a little bit of a technical glitch here. Hang with me for just a second. My presentation vanished on me.
We can
Joe,
we can still see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. That's the problem.
I will take away your sharing and then give it to you again so you can reopen.
Give it back. Yeah. I think I had a little blip on the Wi-Fi. Hang on tight, people. Sorry about that.
That's why it's good to always have a backup plan, right?
Yeah, right.
Looks good.
Okay.
Can you see?
No. Hang on. I do not know what has happened here, but let me just start. Okay, it says screen sharing is now paused. Sorry about that. Just hang with me just a second. Okay. Can you still see it?
No, we cannot see it.
I have your presentation handy if you want me to share it.
I've got my, if you can, I get this message now. It says screen sharing is now paused for some reason.
Oh.
I'm sorry about this, guys. I don't know what, because now, I mean, I can see the presentation, but I don't know why you can't.
I'll try this again. All right, I just made you the presenter again, John.
All right, what do you see?
We see you.
So you don't see the presentation?
No.
Correct. What slide number are you on, John?
Manufacturer roles and responsibilities, slide 9. Do you have that up?
I am getting it up.
Okay. We'll go old school for just a second. So while you're pulling that, just go ahead and go to slide 10, and that way I'll move on and I can keep talking. So for those of you on the phone, basically the sticker, right, is going to be.
John, sorry. Joe, you have
Yep.
my presentation up. Can you
Okay.
pull up John's? Please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
The joys of working
That's all good.
remotely.
Right.
It's all good.
How are we doing?
Hey,
Hey, life is good.
So the slide will be retailer roles and responsibilities.
Does everybody see that?
yes, I can see it.
Yes.
All
Wonderful.
right, perfect. Okay. So retailer roles and responsibilities. So the borrowers, when they go to the retailers or these dealers, the dealers are going to be the ones that will help kind of coordinate, typically will help coordinate the site prep, the ordering of the home, working through the manufacturers, etc. The lender roles and responsibilities, as I mentioned before, it's not to determine if these homes are MH Advantage eligible. The roles and responsibilities of the lender are to work through that process, make sure you've got your invoices from the manufacturers, which you'll get through the dealers. Make sure that the borrower obviously is using MH Advantage as the loan product, which when we talk about that, when you're originating MH Advantage, I might say this again later, but when you're originating an MH Advantage home, MH Advantage is a specific property type within your within DU. So your loan origination system should allow you to select MH Advantage exclusively as a separate property type in order to get some of the additional benefits that we would have with MH Advantage from the property perspective. Also, when the property comes back, the appraisal comes back, you know, just like you would with any manufactured home, ensure that you get the data plate and the MH Advantage sticker are photographed and in the appraisal. And also, and this is the driveways, sidewalks, and detached structures located on site. So driveways and sidewalks are an additional requirement for MH Advantage homes. Now, the driveway, we're not super prescriptive. It can be out of a lot of different materials, but it's got to be a designated space for the vehicle. So as an example, if they use gravel, we require it to be a minimum 4 inches thick. The sidewalk is a walkway, not stepping stones, pavers, concrete. If it's gravel, again, it's got to be a designated pathway from either the garage to the home or the driveway to the home. And the reason we've done that is, if you think about it, we've introduced this to change some of the dynamics in the way that people consider manufactured housing. We want it to more closely resemble site-built, which typically has these characteristics. The lender will need to require that. The number 1 and 2 issues that we have when appraisals come in for MH Advantage is that they're either no pictures of the sticker driveways and sidewalks, or there is no driveway and or sidewalk. So if you watch for that, you're gonna be way ahead of the curve when it comes to these loans. Now, appraisal requirements. This is a big one, and we have a lot of resources where we've been educating the industry, the appraisal industry, specific to the requirements from our standard manufactured housing requirements to MH Advantage. Your standard manufactured housing requirements that have been out there, as an example, require minimum two comparable sales of manufactured housing. With MH Advantage, the requirement is that if no MH Advantage properties are available, right? If there are no comparable sales of MH Advantage homes, anything less than 3, the appraiser can use site-built comparables. That is a big difference. Some of the appraisers were, I don't know if resistant is the right word, but concerned possibly about the use of site-built when, it's manufactured housing. MH Advantage is one of those where if they have less than 3 comps, they can use site-built as their comps, which opens up. And that's one of the other things from a builder-developer standpoint. They like the ability as they get these developments started to use those site-built comps for the homes. Also, just as in anything, even if it's rural or whatnot, the appraiser cannot create comparable sales by combining like land and home separate. But if they go further distances, as an example, or larger acreage, you can use that through justification. The appraiser just needs to go through the justification of why those additional comparable sales were used. That is a big difference between MH Advantage and our traditional or standard manufactured housing product. So the first step when you originate these things, make sure that you got participating manufacturer dealers. That's pretty much been taken care of. We've got a list of those manufacturers, excuse me, on our website. I think right now we're at like 33 or 34 individual companies, around 17 or 18 of the main companies were the parent organizations.
Hey, John, just interrupt you for a second.
Yeah.
Should I have changed slides by now? I can't see what's next.
Yeah, buddy, I'm sorry. I'm telling you where I'm talking and forgetting that. Go to slide 17. I skipped through 2 or 3 of those, and I'm on slide 17. It says key steps to originate. Sorry about that, Joe.
17 for me says MH loans are eligible for CDP financing.
Go back one, Joe.
Okay.
There you go.
Gotcha. So keys to originate. So the consumer selects the MH Advantage home. The lender submits that application through DU, again, selecting MH Advantage as the specific property type. And then once that appraisal is done, usually the first appraisal is done as if completed, and then there's that final inspection to say, yes, the home has been completed as it was designed and as the appraiser initially put it through. You check for the driveway walkways, and then that loan is ready to go. You want to flip to the next one, Joe? So this is a recent change where all of our manufactured housing products are now eligible for our construction to perm financing, whether that is single wide, multi, or the MH Advantage. And that is for both the single close and the 2-time close. Not going to get into the details of that, but the ability to now utilize new construction for manufactured housing is as of around August of 2019, August, September of 2019. So it's a fairly recent change to our guide. Go to that next slide. So max loan to value with our standard manufactured housing is 95%. With MH Advantage, it's 97%. And that can also be coupled with the down payment assistance up to a combined loan to value of 105%. By utilizing the NIFA product as well from a lending perspective, you're going to be guaranteed the pricing as well as the lowest mortgage insurance. okay? The comparable sale requirement, as we've covered, this slide that we've got here, and again, you guys will, can get access to this afterwards if Joe can send that out to everybody. But this just gives you a table that shows the comparison on what needs to happen from a comparable sale perspective. Again, MH Advantage can be used if MH Advantage comps aren't there. You can use site built. Standard, you still need the 2 minimum manufactured homes as comparable sales. Next slide. Actually, you can go to skip the MI. Go to slide 21, which should say lender references and resources. So there's a website that I would recommend you go to. It's singlefamily.fanniemae.com/manufactured homes, manufactured-homes. It's a long website. If you go to just the Fannie Mae website for the products and typed in manufactured housing, it's also going to pull up. Inside that website are probably, it's more information than you're going to need. We have titling requirements. We've done the titling requirements for detitling of the manufactured homes and turning them into real property for every state. We have marketing resources that you can customize. We have lists of our manufacturing partners out there who will build these MH Advantage homes. You've got the product matrix as well as a ton of job aids and one-pagers. So just wanted to make sure that I turned you on to that resource. And then the consumer, if you'll jump to the next slide, Joe, it should be the Fannie Mae spreading the word. So we have a consumer education campaign that started in June of 2019 and went through the first part of last year, as well as a retailer. This is the manufactured home retailers. That has been expanded, and now on manufacturedhomes.com, manufacturedhomes.com, there is an additional resource that we are educating consumers, and the call to action is to turn those consumers back to lenders to ask about these homes. In the first 3 weeks, we had almost 6,000 individual price requests for the potential borrowers on MH Advantage homes. So I'm sorry about the technical issues. I know that's probably it threw the flow of this presentation off, but there's a lot of information. I'm here for questions. But Joe, go ahead and turn that over to Dave for his part.
Jacki, are we going straight to Dave, or did you want your screen shared first?
Yeah, I think Jacki's jumping in.
Yeah, I'll go first. So if you'll go ahead and get my matrix pulled up, that would be great. Hey, thanks so much, John. A lot of great information. I know we have a lot of lenders on the call, so that's great information for them. I know we have some questions already coming in, but like I said before, we're going to hold off on questions till after Dave is done with his presentation. But NIFA is very excited to reintroduce factory-built housing to our first home program with an effective date of April 1st. So I'd like to go over the guidelines and some credit overlays for NIFA loans. And please note, this is only a summary of the requirements and is not inclusive of all of the guidelines. So in the matrix, you can see I'm going to kind of go down through the criteria. So we're going to start with the width of the units. And you can see we're offering Fannie Mae conventional loans only. And we have a different column for the MH Advantage product that John talked about. And then we have the standard product, which would fall in the next column under HFA preferred. And then we can also do government financing, FHA, USDA, and VA. So the width of the units, they have to be double wide or greater, at least to begin with. That's where we're at. I know John talked about the ability to do single wide units, but we are not allowing single wides at this time. So double wide or greater. There's going to be a minimum square footage, and the reason for the minimum square footage is because this is based on zoning regulations. So it must be 900 square feet or greater. The age of the unit for under MH Advantage, those would be new units only. And for the standard product, HFA preferred, those could be new or existing. And for FHA, new or existing. For USDA, those do have to be new only. And then for VA, those can also be new or existing. And then I have a reference here for the zoning regulations. It's the Nebraska Revised Statute 19-902, which sets forth all of those regulations. And then getting into some credit underwriting guidelines. So for Fannie Mae, the conventional loans, we're only allowing DU approve only. The same way with the government products. So approve only from the AUS systems. No manual underwriting is not allowed with factory built housing. Like John mentioned, the maximum loan to value for the MH product, we could go up to 97%. For the standard, it's capped at 95%. And then FHA and be whatever those guidelines are for those government products. We can do our home buyer assistance program with factory built housing. For the conventional products, there's that cap of 105% for the combined loan to value. And then for the government loans, you would just follow agency guidelines. And then there is a minimum credit score of 680 across the board for conventional or government loans. And then the maximum debt to income ratio is 45%. And then as far as monthly reserves, you would just follow agency guidelines. And then I do want to note that the Freddie Mac HFA Advantage loans, those are not eligible at this time. Then of course, all of the loans are subject to US Bank underwriting guidelines and their loan purchase review, and also NIFA's pre-closing review and post-closing review. And then the last thing on the matrix is just some sources for you to go to. And our pricing, when you see our rate sheet, it will be the same as our other programs. So there are no loan level price adjustments for factory built housing. So that's really all I wanted to share with you about what the underwriting guidelines will look like. So I think we will get to the fun part here next. Not that your part wasn't fun, John, but I think a lot of us are waiting to see a bunch of cool pictures that Dave has for us. Hello, Dave.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you good.
Let me get to launch the show.
All right, I'll say a few words about you while you're doing that.
Sounds great, thanks.
So yeah, our next speaker is Dave Busche with Skyline Champion Homes. He is the Director of Business Development for the Central Region and lives in Round Rock, Texas. And he's been employed with Champion for over 5 years. Dave started his career at Ford Motor Company and has worked in sales capacity for many years. And I know, like I said, you have a lot of great information and some very cool pictures. And Dave, you joined us for the first time last June, right? So this is your
Correct.
second time speaking to us and all the great things that we can do to partner together to try to help address the challenges that we're all facing.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Great.
All
Can
right.
you all see the presentation right now?
Dave, can you go up to
Yes, sir.
display settings and swap out because we see your presenter mode?
Okay, show. What do I need to go to? Change presenter?
No, if you, on your PowerPoint, Dave, the second one from the left that says display settings at the top.
Oh,
If
okay.
you- Yep, if you click on that, just swap presenter slide view with slideshow. That top one is what you
Looking
need.
good.
Good. Well, good morning. First, I want to thank Jacki and the NIFA team for allowing myself and certainly John to come back and do this. John did a great entrance into what I'm going to show, really more than tell. But you know, for perspective, the manufactured housing industry represents only 9%, and John had this in his slide, 9% of the total new home sales every year. So we're really not a considered typical home building products. But as I have said since Fannie came out with this program, you know, we are really excited to have the opportunity, because we really haven't had the opportunity to play in traditional home building in the new housing market, and you know, mainly because we really haven't had an aggressive, comparable conventional financing program like we do now. So this has really opened up an opportunity for our industry to participate. And I've always said, if you don't have lending, we don't build a house and we don't sell a house. And you know, the thing that's I'm going to present today, a little differently than what I did previously, was, you know, I kind of spent a lot of time on the analytics of the depth of the affordable housing concern that's out there, and how manufactured housing can participate. And the one thing that really we're all trying to accomplish here is, you know, we've been building very nice houses for quite a long time. We haven't had the lending. Well, now we have the lending, we have the houses that can participate in traditional home building, but there is a stigma regarding our product, and that goes all the way to regulatory stigmas, including zoning. And have a lot of projects that John and I have been working on since 2018. And you know, this opportunity is really slow to develop, not only because of the development process, but you know, a lot of headaches approaching municipalities. In, you know, in their minds, they're thinking, oh, mobile homes, trailer parks, no, we don't want that in our community. And so we're having to fight that. So, you know, really what I'm going to talk about today, instead of what I spent so much time on last time, is really just to give you the glitz, to show you the product that we're talking about and how it's changed, you know, and hopefully you can take that back to your offices and go, you know, maybe that we need to look at this because it's different than what we thought it was. So this is the opening slide. I'm going to reference two things in depth later on, but I just at this point want to point out that there is a logo in the left-hand corner called Genesis Homes, and that's actually a branding product for Skyline Champion. And then the term cross-mod, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I just wanted to point that out. My information is here. It'll also be the last slide, and I know we're recording this presentation, so you shouldn't have any problem getting a hold of John or myself. A little bit about Skyline Champions. So we were a privately held company until 2018, when we joined with the Skyline Corporation and became Skyline Champion. We're publicly traded. We have 7,000 people that work in North America, and that's essentially US and Canada. Both of our companies have over 67 years of home building experience, and we now have 42 manufacturing centers throughout the United States and Western Canada, and we continue to expand our production capabilities because the demand is just incredible right now. And we really build, every one of our 42 facilities is a separate entity. They build product that aligns with their particular market, which ends up being a very large breadth of product that we build. And it includes manufactured homes, modular homes, which is a separate code, park models, modular commercial buildings, which would include multifamily, hospitality, senior and workforce housing sectors. Last year, we built over 19,000 homes. We're the second largest factory-built housing manufacturer in the country. So this is our total U.S. and Canadian footprint. There are 4 plants that are missing on this list, 2 in Georgia and 2 in North Carolina that we literally just bought existing and or bringing mothball facilities out to address the demand we're having. So, but more specifically, I wanted to show you a zoomed in version. And, you know, for those folks that are on this phone that are excuse me, on this call that are in the Nebraska market, these facilities are the ones that we would be supplying product from to meet any types of projects that you're working on. Our, excuse me, our York, Nebraska facility, is, you probably understand, it's about 100 miles from Omaha. So we have several facilities that can ship product into your market, and that's obviously, we do ship our homes, so it's not unusual to have this many facilities. And then the good thing about that is it allows us to bring in a really varied level of product into your market, and, you know, hopefully we can address whatever needs are out there. I'm not going to get into depth about the assembly process, just visually going to show you a few photos here, but it is an assembly line. And if you look at this next photo and you look in the background, you'll see some yellow framing, and that's actually a chassis shop, and then which is the steel foundation of how we ship these products. Above that, you'll see a flooring system that is elevated above it, and that's installed. And then if you continue to look to the left, you'll see a installed version of the flooring on the chassis, and you can't see anything else, but the point is that this is an assembly process. There are stations, typically 20 to 22, that are within the facility indoors, and we have teams that specialize in certain components of the assembly process, you know, roofing, sidewalls, flooring, it goes on and on. But you get an idea, and you know, the value here that we often hear is that we build in a controlled environment. It's indoors, and, you know, it is an assembly line process, so that we can manage the quality and the commitment to maintaining the codes that we have to build to more easily than what happens out in the field. And this is just an example of, this is most likely most likely a modular home that was actually crane set. There are different ways to install our homes. This just happens to be one photo of one of the installation techniques. So this, I'm back to the original title photo, and I wanted to explain something. So what we have done to address the opportunity and the opportunities to play in the traditional home building business is we have created the Genesis Home Series. It is a specific branded set of floor plans and homes that we are building that meet the MH Advantage lending program. And we build those at approximately 22 of our 44 manufacturing centers. So that really is nothing more than a market response, or excuse me, a marketing response. It's a brand. We have so many floor plans that we have way too many. Our total portfolio over 67 years has probably afforded somewhere between 4,000 to 8,000 different floor plans. But the other term that I wanted to point out here is cross-mod. And like realtors and home builders, you all have associations that support your industries politically. We have one, it's called the Manufactured Housing Institute, MHI. They're in DC, they're our lobbyist group, and they work with the industry. They developed through some consumer studies the term cross-mod, and they were essentially, they were looking for, you know, how do we describe this new type of product that meets these new lending programs? So that's all that means. And you may hear that term. It's just a generic term that captures the homes that the manufactured housing industry are building for the MH Advantage lending process. So from here, I just want to basically take you through pictorial illustrations of the homes that we build. And I'm going to start with just some general homes that come from various geographical areas, manufacturing centers, to give you a broad idea of what we build. And then I'm gonna zero in on what we build specifically at our York, Nebraska facility, which would be the logical location for projects in Nebraska for the manufacturing center to provide. This house here, actually, in 2019, we took this house. It is a Genesis model. We took it to the National Association of Home Builders show in Las Vegas, and it's part of the Genesis series. We have 10 other models that fit this, but this is just a good view of a typical Genesis home series. We do not build the garage, by the way. That is site built. This product comes out of our Northeast facilities. We do a lot of modular, high-end production up there. Obviously, this is not a trailer. Another version of a home that's built in the Northeast. That market is very, very expensive, and so we're building product that meets the clientele out there. These would definitely not be captured in the affordable housing segment, but it's just showing you the level of product we're building these days. This is a collection of ADUs, accessory dwelling units. We build those at various locations. That type of product is in demand, more so in California. I'm based in Texas, and you couldn't install an ADU in this state until this past year due to regulatory reasons, but we build those models as well. These are park models. In park models, there are large portfolio companies that build communities that are dedicated to this style of product. It's a different code. It's the ANSI code. There are 400 square feet of living space or less. And if you were to go online and just look at park models, you're going to find most of these products are put in resort style communities, but there are really large portfolio of this type of communities being built around the United States. Just another example of a park model. This one was actually built in our Arkansas City manufacturing center. They ship a lot of product into Colorado, so you can envision this type of architecture and exterior treatments in a Colorado setting. And then I'm going to switch gears and just give you a broad perspective on some of the interiors that we build on a national basis, just so you can look at this and know, well, that's not a trailer, is it? That's not a mobile home. So I'm just going to kind of go through these pretty quickly, but you'll see, some really nice architectural treatments on wall systems and ceilings. This particular house, if you look in the background, you'll see stairs. We do have facilities that build two-story product. I'm just going to skim through some of these just so you get some ideas. Nice ceiling treatment in this home. This product actually is an accessory dwelling unit that we also took to the National Association of Home Builders show. I'll get to that in a little later on. So these are just kitchens, dining rooms. Take a look at some master bedrooms. These are features obviously you're going to find in traditional home builder models. Some architectural and some lighting. So I'm going to drill down a little bit to the Genesis series product that is manufactured at our Champion, York, Nebraska facility. The price points for these 11 models is anywhere from $95,000 to $130,000, and the definition of price point in this case, this is the wholesale cost from us to the retailer and or developer. Does not include land, does not include the setup and installation of the home, does not include garage. It is for the house as it comes out of the factory. But I want you to understand this product line is the one that meets all the MH Advantage requirements, the lending program, and you're looking at between 95 and 130,000. And I would also tell you, I don't know if you all reach out geographically and have partners in your companies that are doing business otherwise, or excuse me, elsewhere, but these price points change with manufacturing centers for too many reasons to get into in this call. But just know that if you were to, hey, you know, our group out in California wants to look at this, you're going to see different price points. But these are York, Nebraska price points. And I'm just going to skim through the 11 products that we have right now. Most of this stuff is so new that we're just using renderings. And I'll get to some photos a little later on of the Sequoia model. But this product series is comprised of ranch style models and narrow lot models. You know, ranch style would be more traditional, where you have the homes and the front doors faces the street. And I'm putting here in red just some notations about some differences. In this case, this floor plan has the ability to load the garage on the side. You also could take the same floor plan and load it on the front. We just changed a few of the floor plan schemes a little bit. So there's a lot you can do with these, and it just helps us to fit whatever particular developer needs are required. Just another model. You know, this one I'm showing that this model can come as a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It also can be constructed with dual master bedrooms. A lot of flexibility in floor plans. So this one is a narrow lot model, and you'll see that the front garage is loaded in the front of the home. It also, if the lot width permits, you could also load it on the garage could be loaded on the side of the home. So just some variations. Another narrow lot model that we have. This one, I'm pointing out that on the left side, the floor plan is drawn with a morning room design. If you wanted to overlay that and change it to a porch design, we could do that. This one, a bit unique. It is actually a triple section home. So when it comes out of the door of the manufacturing center, there's actually 3 different boxes, if you will, or we call them floors. And then they are installed on site together. This model is the one that we took to the IBS show. And here are some actual pictures of that home. I'm just briefly going to go through in the same series. John had mentioned ADUs. We also build that product out of the Champion York facility. The wholesale price point range is between $55,000 and $75,000. And most of these are just renderings. This model happens to be a 560 square foot ADU. That's the floor plan. It's a single bedroom. This one is 660 square feet and is configured with dual bedroom, or excuse me, 2 bedrooms. And this one's a lot smaller, 510. It's a single bedroom. This is an exterior photo of the ADU unit that we took to the IBS show, the National Association of Home Builders show. Interesting, we had actually an architectural company partner with us on this particular model, and they designed it so that the bedroom, which you're looking at in both these photos, would have a Murphy bed in it. And then if you were to be standing in the doorway looking into this master bedroom, the wall on the other side of the foot of the bed is actually a movable wall. So you can change the living space. You could push it, you know, towards this Murphy bed when it's closed and have a larger living space, or you can, you know, move it back so that you're have access to your bedroom. So kind of unique. So another model series that we recently introduced out of the Champion York, Nebraska facility is called the Solstice. Those price points are 90 to 130,000, and I'll just go through this pretty quickly. Some interior shots of that first model. The reason that I like these is, this is very assembly line friendly for us, this type of product, but it has a different look to it. To me, it's more residential in appearance, certainly more than just your typical single wide or multi-section home. I expect that I'll be marketing a lot of this into the Colorado market and hopefully into your market as well. Just some interior shots. Now, this facility also builds single family and multifamily product, 2-story, duplex, triplex, etc. The price points, vary from 95,000 all up to 300,000 plus, depending on how many units we're talking about. But I'm just going to go through this pretty quickly. They do actually have some typical residential product in that as well, but this is just a 2-story example. Another 2-story example with a site-built garage. The duplex model. And then finally, an example of one of the duplex models they built. It was a special project up in Steamboat Springs. And, just to give you an idea, and I hope you walk away from this presentation and recognize that perhaps what most people consider to be a mobile home or trailer, that those images are still out there. But what we do today is well beyond that, and we really believe it's more mainstream. And certainly we're working very closely with the Fannie team and John to come up with product that will appeal to more traditional home builders, so that we can basically grow our business and John can grow their lending portfolio. Finally, I'll leave that up for just a minute. It will be available in the recording, and I'm sure Jacki and her team could provide my information if you need to see it. That's all I got. Jacki, you out there?
Yeah. All right. Are we ready for some questions?
I think we're ready for some
If you have
questions.
some.
John, would you like to join us?
Okay, you want me to go ahead and do the asking, Jacki?
Sure. Go ahead, please.
Okay. The very first question early on, how are local quality standards and the local building code, plumbing code, and electrical code, etc., inspections and verifications handled with the houses being constructed away from their ultimate location and even away from the community where it is finally delivered to? Is it a matter of certification or trust?
Well, there are always going to be on-site inspections. Our product is regulated by HUD, the Department of HUD, and there is a separate HUD code that meets John's program. So when it comes out the door, we are putting what's called a data plate on that home that identifies that we're building to a particular code. I can tell you when the government gets involved, the code is very thick, and we have engineers, and our homes are inspected by third-party companies to make sure that we're complying with the code. But we don't do this in isolation of what particular codes are required from a municipality. If a municipality, quite oftentimes what we face is that HUD code is not accepted by the municipality. And in that case, the same facility can take the same product and build it to the modular code, which means it comes out of our factory built to the IRC residential code, which is exactly what the stick builders use. And, so I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. The next question I have here is the quality of the MH homes the same as any other MH or site-built home? As a potential buyer, I'd be curious to compare the quality and maintenance of this type of home.
So, the HUD code has been in place since 1976. This is not something new, and it's a very stringent code. Like I said, we have 30 third-party inspections in the facility constantly. What the industry has learned over the years, I think what you'll end up finding is you can walk in to, I'll call it this new type of product that you're seeing that, we've been building for a long time, but it's not recognized as what it is today. But you won't be able to tell the difference. We're using the same materials. The code is just a little different. And if it's necessary by the municipality, we can build to the local residential IRC code.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. The next question is the construction, delivery, and installation on foundations of tiny houses via the manufactured home construction method an ideal use of that process? For example, ease, cost of delivery, minimal site prep, duration of the construction process.
Not quite sure I understood the question. Was it a time frame question, or was it more about the types of foundations?
I'm sorry, maybe Susan or Joe, this was from Byron. Could we is he still on, and would he like to ask the question directly?
Byron, we did unmute you. Now you're self-muted. If you want to just unmute yourself, you can kind of give more clarification to the question for our presentation. It looks like he might still be self-muted. So if you want to go on to the next question, we'll see if we can get Byron some access to audio and come back to this question, if that's all right with the panelists.
Oh, does that work for you guys?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. The next question is, are these allowed to have basements?
This product can be constructed to be placed on top of a basement, yes.
Perfect. There's another one that it looks like Joe answered while it was being asked. Are these available for Sarpy County in Nebraska?
That I do not know. I would say yes. I've never really specifically heard of a county regulating against the use of the product, especially if it was built to the IRC residential code.
Okay.
And of course, Stacy, for our program, as long as the property is located in Nebraska, we can finance it. Yep.
Right. Yep. Let's see. I believe that answers the next question. Would it be allowed with lending? True. What is the average cost of delivery and setup?
That's a really difficult question for me to respond to, only because there are very large geographical differences in labor and what contractors provide, and the availability of contractors. I'll just give you my best case generic response to that. To have a home shipped, installed, connected with the right permits, with the right features that meet the Fannie and Freddie programs, combination of porch and or garage, some type of sidewalk and driveway, etc., including an AC unit, everything except for the garage. You're looking at about $40,000 typical. Garage, you know, I've seen a really broad range. If you wanted a 2-car garage, I think a really conservative number to be used could be $20,000. So if you took our home, added it to your land cost, and added $60,000, you'd have a deliverable product with the 2-car garage.
Okay. Thank you. It looks like, I don't believe I see any other questions that haven't been answered by a member of our staff during the presentation. So the only thing that's left that I see that is outstanding is the question from Byron, if he is available.
And I'll just say, I know John and I would welcome questions from anybody that's on the call, and if they want to, you know, go one-on-one, I'd be very happy to do that.
Yeah, these guys are experts, so this is a great opportunity to ask questions.
This is Joe. I think just based on my reading of Byron's question, I think he's asking that with tiny homes in general, is this construction process a good application for that?
So the use of the term tiny homes is pretty broad. We build, like, an ADU is a tiny home. So the answer is yes. I mean, it's the same thing. We also build HUD-coated product that is different than the park model product that can be different than the ADU product. But we build small HUD-coated homes, and, you know, I guess you call that a tiny home. And the application is the same. It's assembled in the same facility, shipped the same way, installed the same way. I hope that answers the question.
And just to add to that, so from a Fannie Mae perspective, the things that you want to make sure that you're aware of, because we don't have any restriction on that, is that it's got to be titled as real property, and you're going to need to have comparable sales, right, from that appraiser to essentially justify whatever that valuation will be of that home. So, you know, we are asked a lot of times about, you know, container homes or tiny homes, and we don't have a carve out for that. But what we do require is taxed as real property, and then the best practice is you need to make sure that you're working through that appraisal process for comparable sales.
Okay, it looks like I've had a couple more questions come in. One of them is, with the basement, will lending allow for the basement funding?
I mean, it's part of the construction process. Yeah, we don't have any specific, you know, carve out again for not allowing or allowing that. That's part of your site prep. You know, others might be, if there was an older home that needed, needed to be taken out, and then that all that cost is there. You just get into what's the overall cost, how does it match up to that appraisal? But it is eligible for our construction of perm product.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Next question, is there a way to get a price breakdown for all the line items? Oops, sorry. We got another question, my screen popped on me. Sorry about that. Is there a way to get a price breakdown for all the line items a developer should consider when looking at MH, building, delivery, labor, et cetera, in Nebraska?
So that's a tough question, and I'm going to explain why I'm saying tough. Because, you know, each manufacturing center operates independently, and some are far better at having support materials like you're asking about than others. They all have it. It just depends on the quality level of what they're going to be sharing. But my response to that would be is if you have a specific product in mind, call me. The process would be I would go to the manufacturing center, explain the type of product you're looking for, explain the type of specifications, you know, interior, you know, whatever features you're looking for. And then I could have them create a quote for you that would have a series of, you know, standard features plus any options you required. And then I could get some folks locally from the York facility to perhaps share, local contracting information with you that would apply to the setup and installation of the home. We do not do that. That is done by independent contractors. We're basically just a home builder, but we have access to that information. So I can connect all the dots and get you that information. Just reach out to me and let me know what you're specifically looking for.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Next question. How is the recent increase in lumber prices affecting the cost of these homes, or do you have your lumber pricing locked in?
It's affecting the pricing horribly. It's just really difficult right now. Our price points have increased significantly, and we are no different than a stick builder, other than we build over 19,000 homes a year, so we do have pricing by contract, but the supply of materials in the last year, those contracts have almost become, hey, we have such limited availability in some commodity items, you're going to end up paying whatever they want to charge you. It's really out of control right now. I hate to say that, but it's just we're the same as the home builders. We're all bearing the brunt of that, and that higher commodity costing is being passed down to the ultimate consumer.
And I appreciate your honesty about that, Dave. That's always a tough question to answer.
Yeah.
The last item I have here is from a representative from RD. And she said, "Hi, Dave. We can finance manufactured homes under our direct subsidized program for USDA rural development. However, we have to go through an approval process for the dealer or manufacturer. Would you have a good contact you could give me for the York plant? I can email you separately to get any info." So we may just share your email address with her.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then you can reach out to her directly about that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's unique to somebody that's already in the process, maybe a project, because as a HUD coded manufacturer, we are heavily regulated, and we can only sell homes to a licensed retailer or a modular retailer. And it's not prohibitive, the process. Usually it involves, some portion of training, but they would have to get their license from the state of Nebraska, and I can make those connections for them.
That would be great. I don't see anything else in the list here as far as new questions or comments. I will add a comment. I love the pictures. Love the pictures. Those are some beautiful spaces for somebody to call home.
I appreciate that. That's what we need everybody to say.
John, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up?
No, I think, use the resources that we have out there. We're doing our best, but from a Fannie Mae perspective, we are fairly limited in how much impact we can have on this without our lending partners. I mean, there's just we don't do the loans. And sometimes it takes the trusted financial advisor, if you will, or that role that the lender plays to help somebody understand that home buying can be attainable, even with these appreciating prices. I mean, if you think about it, if site built was at 300 and manufactured housing was at 250, and now site built at 350 and manufactured housing is at 300, we're still looking at the differences, and that the renting part of it for those borrowers that are eligible does not have to be the either rent or site built. That's where it's really landed for 91%. Right, Dave mentioned that the whole 9% of new home starts. For 91% of new home starts, people believe I either got to stay in the rental or outside of the home buying process, or I got to go site built. And you've seen these pictures. These homes are fantastic, but we do have to change minds. And sometimes it's at the local municipality level, and sometimes it's at the consumer level. So I would just encourage you that if this is of interest, the more educated you are, the easier it will be to help educate those borrowers because they don't do what we do every day.
Yeah, and just to share with everybody, for those of you that don't know, under the NIFA first-time home buyer program, we can go up to $283,000 is our maximum purchase price limit. So we're very excited. What's that?
That's a lot of house with a manufactured home price.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're very excited to next week. We will be officially announcing the addition of factory-built housing in our program, like I said, with an effective date of April 1st. So yeah, we are just super excited about that. And we're able to do down payment closing cost assistance. So yeah.
Thank you.
Super excited. So thanks so much, Dave and John, for your partnership, for your participation. And from the entire NIFA team, thanks to all of our participants out there. And please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions that you have to any of us. So thanks a lot and have a great day.
Okay, hold on one moment. I had a couple more come in just as you were closing up there, Jackie, and I want to make sure we get the rest.
All right.
Okay, so two questions come from the same person. Do we know roughly how many of these loans have already been executed in Nebraska? And she also wants to know if we have had some, what have been the average in all costs?
I can't talk to the cost. I can talk to the loan part of it. So the MH Advantage product right now is basically one transaction at a time. It takes probably in the neighborhood, well, Dave knows this just based on some of the builder developers relationships we're working with. It takes somewhere between 12 and 15 months to get these off the ground from a neighborhood development. Think like subdivision, kind of a big volume play. So what and I don't know of any, well, I know that there are some in the works in Nebraska. I don't know where they are from a timetable, but I would say that expect the neighborhood and the subdivision kind of development to start to increase exponentially. And what I mean by that is a year ago, 15 months ago, we might have had a builder, two builders that we were talking to. We probably have that many coming in various capacities every other day, every third day, because of these margin compressions that you've got with the site built, the labor issues, how do I keep crews busy enough, the affordability, there's just a lot that goes with it. The other thing is the MH Advantage Homes is a Fannie Mae product. Choice Homes is a Freddie Mac product. And then you've got these homes that are built to those characteristics that might go FHA, VA, or RD. There are a lot more of these homes that are out there than I would be able to say have been financed through Fannie Mae. So what I would encourage is look for those characteristics more than the loans. And I would also say, if you've got builder developer relationships, please put those in contact with Dave. That's his role, because we're starting to see that increase. And once we get this product in front of those builder developers, it's turning a lot of heads. Would you say, Dave, that's fair?
That's 100% accurate. Yeah, my title is business development, and so I spend all my time mining opportunities with builder developers, and my pipeline of potential products or projects, they're coming out of the ground later this year. It's enough to fill 3 new plants. It is a tremendous amount of opportunity and interest in it. So yeah.
Sweet. Okay, the next one, I'm guessing there will be flyers to share. I'm assuming we will have some things that we can share to our group at some point. Okay.
Yep. Well, are they talking about the PowerPoint presentations or just?
This just said flyer, so I don't know if they are looking for something specific, maybe Skyline, as far as what they can present to their customers as an option. I'm not totally sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's my interpretation of the question.
I can throw something in there on that one. So probably the starting point for my side of the proposition here would be to go to genesishomes.com realtors.com. And there you'll find much of the same stuff that I just showed you. You'll also find a link to John's information regarding the lending program. So that would be a really good starting point if you wanted to take a look at what Skyline Champion is doing in this opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
that marketing resource center, sorry about that. That marketing resource center also on the Fannie Mae side has customizable marketing materials that'll have that same content.
Wonderful. She said yes to customers or to share on social media.
Yeah, and I'm sure NIFA, our marketing department will be putting information together on this very soon. Yes.
And I believe you answered this last one, but I'll read it again. Timeline for build, start to finish.
So that's a good question. I used to hate to answer this question because we have certain facilities that are very efficient and have very high build rates. We call it floors. And some facilities can build up to 13 floors a day. If that was a product like the Genesis series that would meet John's lending programs with Fannie, that would be 6.5 homes a day. And so I would say a typical build rate from the time a home gets put on order, gets put online, pardon me. So the day that we start to build it, I can say conservatively because there's a really broad response here depending on the type of product we're building, if that makes sense to you. If it's very simple product, 3 days. Goes online on Monday, we start building it, and it comes out the door on Wednesday afternoon. I'd say less than a week for sure, typical product. Now, I will share with you, to be open, that we are like the home builders right now. And, John talked about this incredible demand that's out there. Our backlogs, which is interpreted in number of weeks. If you were to order a home from the Nebraska facility today, it will not come offline for 25 weeks. That is how much business that is running after the manufactured housing industry right now. And we're no different than home builders. The demand's there, the inventory's not, and we're building as fast as we can and growing as fast as we can to meet that demand. So anyway,
That's incredible to learn. That was the last that I see. Now, I really do believe that those were the last ones. I'll try not to interrupt again.
You're not faking us out this time.
Yeah, we definitely want to make sure we address everybody's questions, so that's important. So, yeah. All right. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you, Jackie and NIFA. Appreciate it.
Yes. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Hey, John.
Hey, buddy.